How harsh is Broncos head coach Sean Payton during the draft process? Actually, I love this for him. Welcome into your Denver Sports Daily for June 6th. Let's go.
Taking you through your morning headlines, it's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel Vigil.
Always love when behind-the-scenes stories tend to come out, and Sean Payton joined Jay Glazer on his podcast to talk about his combine interview process and asking the quote-unquote tough questions. And of course, why would you ask the basic questions? You can probably find all of that on social media. So of course, you got to be a little confrontational. You got to dig into it. And I love that Sean Payton does that. Example, he asks, why did you suck in the USC game? Yeah, why did you suck? Why didn't you play well? Why did you throw 3 interceptions? Whatever it may be. The rationale starts with the limited amount of time that teams are now getting with prospects at the combine. It's 15 minutes per interview. That's not a whole lot of time to sit down and have an actual conversation with somebody to get to know them well enough to say, yeah, this is somebody I want to do a more in-depth conversation with. So the Broncos emphasize quarterbacks there, meeting with all the top prospects during their week in Indianapolis. But with the ability to barely scratch the surface, Payton wants to just probe and get past the quote-unquote easy questions for the prospects as they were prepared. Take a listen.
We try to see how they handle tough questions. You have to understand, in these 20 years
But
now,
it's not just tough questions, it's how you with them.
Right, but think about the history. When this combine first came out, guys didn't know what the drills were. There weren't videos. There weren't coaches to coach you how to answer questions. They have 15 minutes now. Their biggest friend when they sit in a combine interview, these players, is when the coach and coaches or scouts want to talk because they know that clock's set for 15 minutes. We want them on the mic real quick. So trying to dig into the makeup of these players, quarterbacks or other positions, yeah, you want to be a little confrontational. Why did you suck in that USC game? And you want to hear their answer, really.
Right.
Because you know what? They're probably going to have a game where they suck here, too. And you want to see how they respond. And you want to see how they said, hey, look, I played poorly in that game, man. I knew it going in. I did this. You want to see some accountability, and you want to be able to, but you want to be able to not catch them off guard, but just see how they bow up and respond.
Also, not that we are here for the Bears or anything like that, but he did have a really cool story on Caleb Williams, obviously the #1 draft pick from this year, about essentially how he was teasing him because there was rumors that Caleb was going to fly in a private jet. I definitely recommend going over to Jay Glazer's podcast to take a listen because, again, just a really cool story and a little behind-the-scenes insight into kind of how Sean Payton thinks. So highly, highly, highly recommend. Now, what was Justin Simmons' biggest regret during his time with the Broncos? Simmons spoke at a fundraiser for Pat Surtain's foundation last week and gave what seemed to be an honest answer about his biggest regret during his time with the Broncos. Take a listen.
My biggest reflection when I look back is that I'm just disappointed that I didn't see this thing through, and I personally couldn't get us. I'm not playing all 11 positions on both sides of the field. It's a team game, but personally, I couldn't be there to get us through and get back to the postseason. And so, but I know that's something that will happen. There's great players, great leadership, great coaching in the building, and so that'll happen sooner rather than later. And when it does, it'll be a special feeling around here, and I'm really excited for those guys.
The Commanders coach Dan Quinn discussed the Brandon McManus situation. Quinn told reporters yesterday, "We did release Brandon. I found out some information on May 27th, and then we released him on June 3rd. The team made the announcement days after the filing of a lawsuit in which 2 women accused him of sexually assaulting them on a 2023 flight when he was a member of the Jaguars. The women, who were flight attendants, claimed that during meal service on the flight, McManus grinded against them and tried to kiss one of them." Take a listen to Dan Quinn talking.
Yeah, and I think number one, that you guys would all understand this is under investigation, so I can't comment a lot. But what I can say is a little bit about what I told the team, and I think, like most things, not necessarily related to this, but as a lesson, let's make sure you always let somebody know and tell. There's usually a whole bunch of people that want to be part of the solution, and so when you have that, whether that's for this team or any team or a parent, that kind of communication allows you to come up with some solutions. So, like I said, not specific to this, but it's just a good lesson, to always have that conversation. It's usually much more difficult in your head than it is really having the actual conversation. And so just wanted to make sure I got a lesson out to the guys as we're going through it. So we did release Brandon. I found out some of the information on May 27th, and then switching to the offense.
The Colorado Buffaloes winning the whole thing in 2024. Listen, I don't mean to laugh. Okay, I really don't. And I don't say this because I'm a CSU Ram, but really going from 4 or 5 wins last season to winning the whole thing in 2024, well, that's apparently what some people are thinking, and they're putting their own cash behind it. According to John Ewing, the odds for Coach Prime, Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Colorado to win the national championship have shifted. You can obviously see the odds on their screen. 4.5% of bets, fourth most, are on the Colorado to win the championship. That's insane. Part of that is, of course, because CU is now being looked at as the fourth most bet team to emerge victorious in the college football playoffs. But still, let's just be completely honest. While it is very fun to watch Coach Prime and everything that is going up there in Boulder, to go on and to beat some top schools like Georgia or anything like that blows my mind just a little bit. So let me know, would you be putting your money where your mouth is and voting on Coach Prime to possibly walk away victorious and win the entire thing? I'm very curious. Or am I just being a little too harsh and maybe there is more talent up there than I'm giving them credit for? Let me know what you think. Moving on to the MLB now. Chris Bryant, who hasn't played since Sunday, appears headed to the injury list with a reoccurrence of back issues that had plagued him all season, limiting him to just 24 of 61 games so far this season. Bud Black obviously goes on to say Chris didn't really respond to the treatment today, so it looks like it's going to be a few more days, and then we're going to have to put him on the injured list. Black expressed optimism in the forthcoming stay on the injured list would remedy Bryant's back issues. He has missed 239 of a possible 385 games since joining the Rockies on a 7-year, $182 million contract extension. Yes, you heard that right. 239 games out of 385. That's how many times Chris Bryant has not been out there. We all remember the back issue when it came to the the hotel beds that they ended up saying were like jail beds. But yeah, Bud Black spoke again on Chris Bryant yesterday. Take a listen.
Well, like it's maintained all year that, and it's Chris's hope too, to stay healthy and to play and to stay on the field. It's been interrupted often for these 2 years, and there's frustration because Chris wants to play, and these different types of injuries have cropped up, and it's been frustrating. But again, I don't have a crystal ball, but hopefully, this will resolve itself, I think, relatively quick, and get them back on the field, get them back on the active roster, and play. And hopefully, get some momentum performance-wise where we see the real Chris Bryant.
Wouldn't we all love to see Chris Bryant be back to where we actually saw him when he was with the Cubs? Of course, the Rockies end up losing yesterday 12-7, but they again will be taking on the Cardinals tonight for the next 3 days, 5:45 p.m. Mountain Time. That will be first pitch over there. So make definitely sure you check that one out. Moving on over to the Stanley Cup Finals. For the first time ever, the Stanley Cup Finals will be broadcasted in American Sign Language. I think this is so cool. An alternate ASL broadcast will stream on ESPN Plus and Canada's Sportsnet Plus throughout the finals. The NHL says it'll be the first fully immersive viewing experience for the deaf community by a professional sports league. This is really, really cool. Like I mentioned, the leagues hope it to expand its NHL in ALS efforts into next season. Again, I love this. I love the inclusion for sure. And to just be able to have, not just subtitles or anything of that nature, but actually be able to experience the game like a lot of us do too. I think this is really, really cool. So kudos to the NHL for doing this. Last one for you on this Thursday. Travis Kelce talked about the Chiefs' recent visit to the White House on the latest episode of his podcast with his brother, New Heights, including a stern talking to from the Secret Service. Kelce says that he was approached by 4 or 5 Secret Service members who told him, if you go up to that podium, we're authorized to tase you. It is actually an order for us to tase you. As you can all remember, the last time the Chiefs went to the White House, Travis Kelce had a little bit too much fun and wanted to go up there. Of course, didn't actually make it up there, but he said it was going through his head the entire time, and he nearly panicked when President Biden invited Kelce up to the podium to speak. His full speech was, "My fellow Americans, it's nice to see you all yet again. I'm not going to lie, President Biden. They told me if I came up here, I'd get tased. I'm going to go back to my spot." All right. I think it's hysterical. Obviously, Travis Kelce has been in the headlines a ton recently, but I love that he was able to share this behind the scenes story because, again, even if you're a professional football player and a dang good one like Travis Kelce, it doesn't matter that they will tase you if you try and get the microphone up at the White House. So plenty of good stuff for this Thursday. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week. Let's see. I'm so sad Simmons isn't here. I hope he gets picked up soon. Trust me, I feel that way too. Justin Simmons is such a class act, like all around. And the fact that he talked to media so many times when he's not with the teams. I actually saw Justin, little behind the scenes story for all of you. He was going to a Nuggets game, obviously, during the playoffs. And some girl came up to him and she was like, "Go Broncos." And Justin, being the class act that he is, he goes, "Go Broncos." Personally, I'm like, I probably would have been like, I don't know if I'm going to say go Broncos besides the guys that I know that are over there for the team after getting cut. But a class act all the way through. So I hope he does get picked up. And to be honest, I really hope he gets to go to a contender and somebody that can win the Super Bowl, even if that happens to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll break my heart just a little bit, everybody, but I would love for him to be able to get a Super Bowl ring, especially after saying, the one thing he feels like the biggest regret is that he wasn't able to get this Denver Broncos team back to the playoffs. It's kind of crazy that the entire time Justin Simmons has been here in the Mile High City, they never made it to the playoffs. And that just breaks my heart a little bit for him. Let's see. Okay, I see this one. Well, the Nuggets and Avs would have no idea what a visit to the White House is like, having never been invited by Biden. So I don't know about the Avs. I do know that they were invited the Nuggets were invited, but schedules just didn't align up. And so they couldn't make it work. But I know it would have been a bummer. I would have loved to see both teams go down to the White House. But tons of stuff goes on behind the scenes. So I have a feeling that maybe it wasn't necessarily not being invited by Biden, but some other stuff came up. So that's just my little 2 cents on that one. Heck yeah, we'll put $10 down to win 1,250. Why not? I mean, it's not a bad bet for sure. I'm not going to lie, but I'm just like, you're probably going to lose your $10. I just don't think that we'll be happy if they win 7 or 8 games. Let's be honest. We'll be happy if they win 5 games. It'll be an improvement on last year. So I'm not expecting too many things from that Colorado Buffalo team over there. But hey, Coach Prime is getting the numbers. They are fun to watch. I will give him that. Shadur is fun. Travis Hunter is fun to watch. And I'm saying that as a CSU Ram. So if I can say that, then I feel like a lot of other people will definitely agree. But that is going to do it for our Thursday edition of Denver Sports Daily. Thank you guys so much for spending just a little bit of time with me on your weekday. And we will be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for another episode. Bye, everybody. Get back to work.